Are you tired of losing lane? Do you feel like your current role doesn't fit with your skills and life goals? Have you ever canceled a Malzahar ult? Well, why don't you try our brand new product, LEC?
Ours a dragon advantage as well. Ready to take a fight. Flash over. How do you... Just canceled.
Do a role swap and discover a brand new world today.
Wow, this is so cool. I never want to go to a lane ever again. Oh, the river. I heard it's a dangerous place. A skull crab. I want to be the one to flip the game.
Try out our game-changing new role swap therapy and get the honeymoon buff for free. What are you waiting for? Change your lane today.
Potential side effects may include overconfidence, homesickness, end of vacation, champion pool issues, never making playoffs, caster role swaps, mechanical failures. Remember to change your teleport for smite.
Oh, a blue buff. Could I swap back to the bot lane?
Berlin, Germany for the LEC Summer Playoffs. Fnatic, they fell apart in the final weeks and now they need a comeback in the lower bracket to salvage their season. The road starts with Vitality, led by former Fnatic jungler Selfmade, who faces Whippo in a much anticipated matchup. I'm Sjokz, joined by the jungle role swap crew, Caedrel and Treatz. I have very high hopes for you as an analyst duo. I mean, you're bringing the knowledge from several lanes.
Yeah, I've never made playoffs this split. This is the one time where I can take a dig at someone who didn't make it for not making it myself because I wasn't involved.
Yeah. Unfortunate for Treatz, but I'm really happy that you're here. Also, you may have noticed it, but there are no players arriving at the studio because today Fnatic and Vitality are playing from home. We'll give you some more info in a bit. There's also a lot of info on Twitter about that. But first, let's start talking about yesterday and the Mad Lions taking their third win in a best-of-5 over G2, setting us up for a rematch of the Spring Finals versus Rogue. Treatz, what was it about Mad that was good enough from them to be able to beat G2 again?
I mean, I think honestly, Mad just had a really good series, really good meta read and solid plays all around. And I think G2 looked a bit shaky, but Mad really stepped up big time.
Yeah, I think the bounce back from game 1 especially, I think that was G2's most dominant game all year long, and Mad Lions were the brunt of that. I think the bounce back was incredible, coming back especially in game 3 when they were so far behind, just finding pick after pick, especially against Caps on his notorious LeBlanc. They managed to shut it down, come back, win that game. This turn from Humanoid was amazing to see. And this is the one time where it's like, wow, Mad Lions, you're pretty damn good.
You're pretty damn good. Yeah, they were insanely good in the clutch moments, even when they were behind. It reminded me a bit of, I mean, they're only been here for 2 years, but vintage Mad Lions of when they were best back in spring. And we've talked a lot about changing of the guard and whatnot. Well, I think it's changed, and that's just the truth of it. Rogue, Mad Lions are just now better than the old guard teams, and they have already rocked their ticket to Worlds.
Yeah, no, it's crazy. Rogue and Mad are locked in, and a lot of people say, well, yeah, Worlds without G2 or Fnatic or things like this. Yeah, I think it's a time of acceptance where it's like, these teams are really good. They're beating these teams. Would you rather send a historically good international team that's struggling against these teams all year to Worlds, or the team that's actually beaten them and shown up?
Yeah, they deserve it for sure. But G2, of course, they still have a chance. Treatz, now they're down in the lower bracket. We've seen in the past that G2 actually does well when they have kind of their own tape to look at and to improve. Do you think that's also the case with this roster?
Yeah, I mean, I do think obviously they have insane players, and I think they have a lot of time now to prepare. So I think we'll see a bit of a sharper G2 in the next series, and I think honestly they will be really strong.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of things complicated with G2 right now. It's like a web that needs to be untangled. I'm really not sure what the exact pinpoint problem is that's going on with G2. I think there's so many small things adding up. You remember 2019, Caps and Wunder, pentakill solo lanes, 2v5ing Barons, 2v5ing bot and Ibs, just taking over the game in international events. And I think that I want to see that era of G2 again, you know, with the carry top side. The meta suits it, and they're one best of 5 still away from Worlds. It's not over for G2. They just have to win one more best of 5 when they're there.
It's not over, but it's difficult. I want to pull up some quotes from Showmaker and Khan. There's been a lot of banter back and forth between Mickey and some of the Korean players saying, well, G2, they're kind of like a broken toy. What do you make of that, Caedrel?
Well, yeah, I mean, Showmaker said something similar. I think this was after the Sandbox game where they're like, the LPL just looks way stronger, and G2 might not be that fun to play against anymore, whereas in previous years they were, and I think that just comes down to the strength of the team itself.
We'll see if G2 make it to Worlds. Of course, there's one spot left in the lower bracket. G2 or Fnatic or both could miss Worlds 2021, which would be the first time since 2016 that both of these teams won't represent EU together. Treatz, but there are, of course, other teams in the running, right? The Vitality, the Fnatic, the Misfits of this world all have a chance. What's your view on the lower bracket in its totality?
I mean, I think all the teams that are in the lower bracket now are really good. And I think especially Misfits that had an insane series against Rogue really show that they can take the last spot. So it will honestly be up to anyone who has a good day. They can take it. I think it's very up in the air.
Yeah, I think so far Misfits are almost like a dark horse, and I think the script is writing itself. We've got Whippo versus Selfmade versus Reckless and Misfits all fighting for the last world spot. And I think there's a very likely chance perhaps that if Fnatic win today that we might see G2 versus Fnatic in the lower bracket, best of 5 for a world spot, life on the line.
Script writers everywhere.
I think they've got to go through Misfits first, and I think Misfits looking like the dark horse, I have to say.
Yeah, absolutely so. I mean, when you get to this point of the competition where you're in situations where you're fighting to stay alive in the playoffs and in the Worlds race, things look just completely different than you expect them to do. Also, over across the pond, a very old friend has also made Worlds. It's not an old friend. We just lost him a little while ago. Congratulations, Abba. We're so happy that you made it. You're, of course, one series away from Worlds twice with Sjokz and FLICKR. Yeah,
one in the finals against Fnatic and then G2 in the gauntlet. EU mid laners seem to be doing really well over across the pond. I mean, we can list them all. Paravival, Jensen, Perks, Abadage, But yeah, no, Abadage, great performance.
Yeah, it's great to see the NA imports doing well, isn't it, Treatz?
Yeah, definitely is. I mean, honestly, Abadage he's had an insane split all around, and 100 teams are looking good, so I'm happy for him.
And I think it's awesome, because we always thought of EU as Abadage as like the scrim god. And I think through the miracle run of last year, I think that he really showed his form in spring. When they finished 4th place, he was showing up, and now in NA, doing his best. Yeah,
I'm really excited, actually, for 100 Thieves at Worlds. But let's also talk a bit about the meta and the key picks of what we've seen in the first 2 days. We had a lot of LeBlanc, we had a lot of Varus, we had a lot of TF. Treatz, what do you think about how the meta is going to evolve in this specific best of 5?
Yeah, I think both Vitality and Fnatic have kind of a different meta read than the other playoffs teams. I think especially the Vitality mid-champion pool is a bit different. They don't really play LeBlanc, they don't really play the TF. So I think it will be very different from the other series for sure.
Yeah, and I think we saw in week 8 and also in the Rogue series and yesterday's series with G2, LeBlanc blind pick, VTO liked it, Caps liked it. What's your answer? Some answers are Lissandra, sometimes it's the Twisted Fate. I was speaking to Mac where it's like you have the rapid fire so you can shut her down later in team fights. Makes a lot of sense, right? And I think teams are picking up on that. So these two mid laners are high priority. But like Treatz said, in this series, maybe not so much. Leader likes Assassins, Nisqy likes to play for the team. So maybe we'll see Twisted Fate for Nisqy though, because we've seen that before. That
could definitely be an option. Jungle pool has been very much Xin Zhao, Lee Sin priority, as well as Viego. That was kind of the triumvirate. How do you think that's going to evolve in this series? Looks like Xin Zhao is just too OP.
Yeah, I mean, Xin Zhao, Lee, and Viego, they just rotate around every game. So yeah, I don't think it's going to change. I think it will be kind of the same. Maybe Selfmade has some spicy picks. I mean, Whippos pull out the Rengar and stuff like that too. So I think it could be a bit different, yeah.
I do want to ask you, because we had some question marks about kind of the Lee Sin priority a lot over, even if Xin Zhao was open. What do you make of that?
I mean, I think Lee Sin has its big upsides. It has a lot of playmaking, more playmaking than Viego and Xin Zhao, so it has that edge. But I also think it's more volatile. So in this series, both teams are kind of volatile, so maybe they want to go for it.
Yeah, and I also think it comes down to how you want to draft your mid-jungle, whether it's comfort, first of all, and which one you're best at, and second off, like if you're playing Xin Zhao or Viego into LeBlanc, it's very hard to get onto her. Whereas if you play Lee Sin into LeBlanc, you can actually do really well into her. So picking away Lee Sin and then taking LeBlanc, or taking Lee Sin, Lissandra into LeBlanc, like we saw G2 do against XL, it's all like a complicated kind of puzzle you want to solve to have the correct pairing.
We'll see how that puzzle gets made today. Now, Fnatic versus Vitality will be taking place online due to a COVID situation for Fnatic. You can check out Fnatic's Twitter for more info. We'll talk about that in the match intro as well, because that could mean a lot in terms of how the teams are going to perform. But across the next few weeks, we are going to see some of EU's greatest talents face off in the LEC Summer Playoffs, also at EU Masters. But one question is still left unanswered. Who would win a League of Legends Euro Cup? We're each going to argue for our own own countries. I'm not like emotional anymore about not winning the Euro Cup, at least for football. So let's talk about the Euro Cup for League. Caedrel, who's your team?
Well, my team's stacked, let me tell you. It might not sound stacked, but we're going to call ourselves United Kingdom. And I might have to role swap back to mid lane, and actually go back to my roots. Look across the board. You got Alfari, he's amazing, right? He's one of the best top laners in the West, you have to dispute. Max Lore got MVP in the LVP. He's bouncing back. X-Matty, K-Corp, fantastic team. Kasing just won the LVP. You know, we got a lot of talent. It's just I have to, you know, get better and learn how to play mid lane again. Because right now we don't really have any mid laners. So yeah, I'll fill that role.
Who's the Harry Kane of this lineup?
It's Alfari.
Alfari, for sure.
He's the
okay.
captain.
Actually, super excited for Max Lore making his return to the scene.
Yeah,
Maybe
definitely.
We'll see him again.
Kasing as well.
Yeah, Kasing as well. Indeed, the UK boys. Next up, Treatz, are you defending Sweden?
Yeah, I mean, obviously I have to defend Sweden. I think Team Sweden is honestly kind of stacked. Kreis, Memento, Larsen, Reckless, and then myself. I think Reckless is the Ibrahimovic of the team, the big playmaker, the carry guy. So I think it's a solid lineup.
And is this, you know, just you projecting at where you would like to play again next week?
I mean, I would like to play.
Maybe alongside Reckless even? Wow. Imagine that. Yeah, I'm going to go for Belgium. Now, I had a bit of a shortage. So basically, I'm going to put White Bwipo in the top lane, Bush Bwipo in the jungle, then Niski, then Bwipbot as the AD carry, and Targamas as the support.
Okay.
They're still like We Will Failer, I think. I know Krepo's also playing again. I'm not that good, so I'm not putting myself in. But I think, you know, Bwipo, he's done it all, so why would he not take 3 roles?
Yeah, he's played all 3 roles. I think he's probably won on all 3 roles, if I think about it, and he's had success on them. It's also like Vedius, you know, he's got different types. You know, Bwipo, we can just load him a little bit.
We've also got Kaz, who can be the coach. He's
Yeah,
also
perfect.
Belgian, so we're winning there.
We got
Fantastic. Bwipo Mac, Bwipo Kaz. Okay, well, the pride of Belgium will get their chance to shine today as Niski and Bwipo look to take Fnatic to the next round.
Gets excited again! Looking for Magic Felix is now all of a sudden that's a fleet. And Fia, Jeskla for the triple! Crowdy!
I mean, I'm excited to face Viboret. He was my teammate because I know that he as a person is a very smart player. He will always find a way to be impactful in the game. I'm excited to face him.
And I just wanted to highlight before this play happened the huge amount of vision investment for his self-made. RZ just, whoa! Yeah, there's self-made. That is the classic.
They don't have a heal, but a TP's coming in.
Saying, does he have the leap out to safety? Stun comes in, they body block. They're going to try to burn self-made down before he gets anything done. Clean combo coming out. Bwipo getting healed right back up. Burn, baby, burn. Leader getting cut down. Bwipo right where he needs to be, and that is the power of the Viego.
Self-made's got a bone to pick with Fnatic. It's not even about hard feelings. It's just, you know, X player plays against X team. It makes sense that there's some hype there, and I'm looking forward to it.
He wants to turn. Hylissang's still alive for now, but it's a TP on the backside. Well called. Now Bwipo going in, unstoppable, trying to finish up leader. The stun is there. He's now going to leap out. He's going to grab another one. He turns into the rumble, but still, there's so much damage coming in from SLT. This Renekton, is he going to be unstoppable? It does not look like it. The turn, the burn, Fnatic.
Playing against Vitality, it's going to be a bloodbath, right? We're just going to fist fight each other to the death, and I think that the first team that gets ahead will usually walk away with the win.
Fnatic versus Vitality, and a loss here would mean the end of the 2021 season for both teams. And then if they stay in, the road is still long towards a final and towards the World Championship. Now let's start with the story of Fnatic. It would be the first Worlds without Fnatic since 2016. And for Fnatic, we're a bit hot and cold, I feel like, because they had fantastic moments throughout the split, but then they also had a 4-game losing streak, Treatz. So what was kind of your view on how they ended the season?
Yeah, I don't think they ended the season in the best way. They had a solid start, and they figured out the meta pretty swift, I would say. And then in the end, they kind of chose for some throws in some of the games, and they had some weird drafts and stuff like that. So yeah, definitely not as hot in the end as the start.
Yeah, definitely a couple things you can also outline from the draft, just like Treatz was saying. In the last couple of games that they played, Morgana being played bot a lot, and as much as you can win lane with Morgana, having a player like Hylissang, who's the crazy, you know, the mad scientist of Fnatic that likes to find engages, on a supports range champion that likes to play more backline, just hurts the team in general when it comes to snowballing the team in the mid game. So I think having him on an engaged champ is a must. I think Alistar's his most played the split. Also, I think Fnatic's almost like their worst enemy at times, similar to, you know, past versions of Fnatic where they just get a little bit lost in the chaos and the madness when they get these leads, especially against you guys in the final weeks of the splits where they're playing this TF Rengar, they're ahead, they can play over side lanes, they have a really easy win condition, then they just overgroup, overfight, and then that TP, yeah, it did suck.
Yeah, as we take a look at the gold leads from those last games and those games lost specifically, Treatz, you were in one of those games.
Yeah.
I mean, you must have also, as the enemy, noticed, okay, they're really playing a bit more fast and loose here. How did you experience that?
Yeah, I'm not sure why it happens. I think it's about the comps that they play and the confidence that they have in the late game. I think they're making it too complicated at times. So especially against us, they had the Rengar and the TF, which was new for them. And yeah, they didn't really play as good as they have in the past.
Yeah, and you can just see it behind us, right? They're winning, and then they eventually lose. The Rogue is almost like an outlier because we remember the level 3 Inspired killed Whip on his red. And from there, I think when jungle was lost, the whole map fell apart. But you can just see the consistent leads that they have, and then they just throw it away with fights. The Misfits game, they were so far ahead. And I want to ask you, Treatz, what's it like playing against this volatile style where they just non-stop, all gas, no breaks, just going in non-stop? Is it something that you think about proactively when the game's going on? You're like, okay, guys, let them come into us, and we'll punish their mistakes.
It definitely is something they think about, especially when you're behind. It kind of feels like it's fine, you can chill a bit, and most likely they will make a mistake that can win you the game. So as long as you're confident in your scaling against Fnatic, they've shown that they can make some late game mistakes.
Yeah, I think that's a good shout, and thinks to stylistically, unfortunately, Vitality also likes to go ham. When it comes to kind of looking at some of the stats and where you could win things back, Adam and Niski are the solo bolo kings. Adam has 15 solo kills, which is the most out of everyone in the league, but he also has 30 or 31 rather isolated deaths when no one is around. So I mean, I feel like with
he
Whippo,
fits right in.
yes, Whippo coming to the jungle position and also like, you know, passing the torch to Adam. Adam feels very Whippo-esque sometimes in the way he likes to approach the games.
But I think that's always a good thing. Toning a player down is much better than having to force them to go more aggressive, right? I think Adam's had amazing solo kills, getting solo killed a few times, definitely playing on the edge of fire and living on the edge of life, it seems sometimes in these games. But I think a big thing that's going to hurt them is Adam not actually being with the team, right? I think that Adam having this first ever best of 5 in the LEC in the big leagues, not being with his team because obviously he's isolated from them because of the COVID scenario, just hurts in general. You can't really watch the games after game 1 together. You can't get the Yamato Cannon-esque speech that you normally get to hype you up emotionally, to get you ready for war almost, right? So Adam will really suck for him, will really struggle. I'm sure Fnatic have found some workaways remotely to actually solve this problem, but yeah, it's definitely tough.
Yeah, I mean, I have the experience myself playing a best of 5 finals in Academy. Remote, I was playing from Canada because of visa issues. So yeah, it doesn't feel the same. It's just a different vibe, and you can't really put your finger on it. It just feels a bit worse. But I think Adam is confident in himself, and I think he will still do a good job.
I like to think of Fnatic sometimes as a streaky team as well. I mean, they went into a winning streak, then they went into a losing streak. So we're going to have to see how that influences everything.
Oh yeah, definitely. I think the biggest thing for me is when I watch their games, I think the question they have to ask themselves is like a very simple one. How do we actually want to win the game? Rather than just like, oh, that guy's inting. Oh no, that guy's inting. Oh, I want to go in there. I want to go in there. And all this chaos happens, whether it's in communication or the map state, and everything slowly falls apart and these leads start to chip away. Yeah,
keep it simple. And now for Vitality. Vitality was one of the most talked about rosters before summer. Of course, they got also stuck in the whole, like, I want to say, wheel of fortune of what happened in the offseason. Selfmade finding himself now on that team. They did go 3-0 in the last week. Quite the opposite from Fnatic's end of the season, Treatz. They had to win. What was it that made them so strong in that super week, rather?
Yeah, I mean, the 3-0 the last week, they had a really simple recipe. Renekton on top, Akali mid, and then a scaling for bot lane. And I think it worked out really well, and I think Fnatic obviously knows this as well, and they will try to counter them. But yeah, I think they had a solid last week, and they deserved the last spot.
Yeah, that's something we'll definitely take a look at after we watch this B-roll of them actually winning the games, right? And I think that the big thing is Selfmade, when he came into the game, I think we saw it in the voice comms, their mentality in this Super Week was all or nothing. If we lose, we lose. If we win, we win. Let's play it like a solo queue game. And I think that's kind of what they did, you know. They just went for comfort, went all in, and just thought, well, if we lose, it just sucks. Just try our best and give it everything. And just go out to the blow with a bang, sorry. And that's what they did. And it actually worked. 3-0. They were on a huge losing streak before this. They're on a 4-game losing streak. Then they just turned it around with this new mentality that they had.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's not that Vitality doesn't want to make it to Worlds. Of course they do, but I see what you mean. They've had less time with this roster. They also had Shigenda, who was swapped in again just a few weeks ago. I think it was around the half of the split and stuff. So it's different for them. And I think specifically there's a lot of rivalry going on there with Selfmade versus Whippo and wanting to win. But as you said, let's take a look at their drafts and how they're figuring them out. Starting with the wins, Treatz, there couldn't be a clearer recipe for wins, and that means also a clearer counter strategy for Fnatic, I think.
Yeah, especially in these last 3 games, you can see the Renekton and Akali being present in all the games, and then jungler playing a skirmisher jungle and bot scaling. I think the recipe was super simple. I mean, Fnatic has this info as well, and they will adjust.
Yeah, just sticking to comfort. 3 Akali games, 3 Renekton games, 2 Alistar games. And one of those games, especially against Rogue, right? Rogue looked dominant. They never dropped a single game to any team not in the top 4 the whole split long. Vitality managed to beat them. Rogue did throw the game away, but Vitality took that and then ran away with it. So I think that's the important thing. Comfort is key in their wins. But in their losses, it just looks like the complete opposite. This 4-game losing streak that they had just before these 3-game wins, they had a lot of mixed bags in terms of how they want to play the game. Like, just look at this. You have mixed damage on AD in mid and jungle, sorry, but you have like winning bots, weak side bots, carry tops, support tops. Every single champion, including the 4th game, which you're not going to show just now, was a different champion. Apart from that Jinx in Misfits in the XL game, every single champion was different in all 4 of those games.
Let's do a little bit of a thought experiment because, of course, Fnatic will have done their scouting. If we assume that the Renekton is not on the table, if we assume maybe even that a Gwen is not on the table, perhaps a Tahm Kench gets in the mix because I don't think that gets banned out straight off the bat. What is kind of the pool that you see in possibilities for Sjokz and how Vitality have found success?
Yeah, I think Vitality relies more on Sjokz than they realize themselves. I think when he is on a weak side champion that can play well by itself, he does really well. So the Renekton was obviously a good fit for him. So maybe they pick up the Tahm Kench, maybe the Gwen, something like this, or maybe the Aatrox that he's also played before. I think we'll have to see, but yeah, I think they will go for the same style as they did in the last week as well.
Yeah, and style is something I'm always going to wonder what's going to happen in this game, because you think about the first series on Friday, Misfits versus Rogue, it was all top lane. Camille's, Fiora's, it was everything. Get top lane ahead or you're going to lose the game. You're going to split push to infinity. Yesterday's series felt like it was all through bot lane. G2 diving bot level 3, trying it again and again. And it was almost like an AD carry show. G2 playing this weak side top. Mad Lions playing these carry-orientated top lanes for team fights. So we've seen 2 dynamics. In the LCK, for example, you know, first pick Lee Sin and then Yasuo, Diana from Damwon. Ryze comps with things like GP and Nahr top. So a lot of carries in top lane. What does Vitality want to do? Because when I think of Sjokz and Leader and Selfmade, I think they want to play through mid to Labrov. I don't actually think they're going to focus on Sjokz too much. But then as I say that, he plays a lot of Renekton games. And then similarly for Fnatic, you have Adam on one end, which is very volatile. On the other end, you have Upset and Hylissang. So where are they really going to play through is my question.
And who gets left on the island?
Exactly.
It's often Adam and often Sjokz as well. We'll see what happens. And for a bit more on Vitality's game plan, Laure is standing by with their strategic coach.
Thank you, Sjokz and Mephisto. Thank you so much for joining me ahead of your game. You're the strategic coach for Vitality. So talk me through the prep you went through this week and how do you prepare for best of 5 when you never played a best of 5 with this team?
I mean, it's not the easiest, right? But for the prep, I think we did like every team. We doubled down on our strengths. So we are going to play our own style, right? We didn't try to adapt because we just feel like just going ham on our style is going to bring us more chances of victory. And we kind of know what to expect from Fnatic. I also expect them, since they have Yamato, to not pivot and to just play to their strength, which I think they should consider to be bot lane. From all the interviews that Bwipo or whoever have done, their bot lane is their strong point. And yeah, we have a couple level 1s, couple of this, couple of that. But overall, it's like from the 2 best of 5 I've watched from LEC, the winning bot lane or the bot lane that got the resources was not always the winner. So I'm looking forward to seeing what they actually do and if they can actually take it home through bot lane.
Yeah, I agree, and that's what we saw, especially yesterday with the Mad Lions versus G2 series. And as you said, Fnatic mostly played through top lane, the whole bot lane, the whole split. Do you think they have some tricks up their sleeves, or do you expect them to play this way today as well?
I mean, for sure, I think both teams expect the other team to have a couple of things that are, you know, coming from deep pockets. Like Bwipo, for example, is going to maybe bring some champions, Karthus, Zac. We will see, right? Yeah. Adam has a couple pocket picks. Niski maybe is going to bring some pocket picks as well. But for example, I don't think we're going to see Upset play Ziggs or Varus or any champion that he didn't play during the split. So it's going to be surprising, but I think we will be able to adapt and hopefully we can deliver a good series. Yeah, both teams.
It's going to be an amazing series anyway, a bloody series for sure. Now, I think the matchup everyone is looking forward to is obviously Selfmade versus Bwipo in the jungle. You worked with both players actually because you used to be with Fnatic. What can we expect from this matchup, especially when you think about the meta, because it's been mostly Viego versus Xin Zhao oriented so far?
So in terms, I think both genres are pretty good. I would give I would give the advantage to Oscar, to Selfmade, if it's about like being a bit selfish and carrying alone. While with Bwipo, I think he's more of a selfless jungler, but he can obviously still put someone in the dirt. And I know he's been working with some people, some YouTube content creator for pathings and stuff. So I'm a bit scared of what maybe he has prepared. Because I don't want him to throw a wrench in our early game. But if he doesn't, then I expect Oscar to get ahead.
You never know with Bwipo. That's what makes it interesting.
He's a smart guy, and I think it's really smart what he did to work with people that create content on YouTube and to like help him through to find the right pathings for each champion and to perfect the pathings. So I think every player should actually try to do this, where they get outside resources for themselves in a selfish way, right? But it's a really good thing for him.
It is. We'll see how it plays out today, but for now, Mephisto, thank you so much for the interview, and good luck against Fnatic today.
Thank you.
Back to you, Sjokz.
Wow, what a great interview, and what a great note about like looking for outside resources for, I mean, I'd love to talk about that. Maybe in PGL we have time. But I want to pick out a couple of things that I heard from that interview. First off, being the bot lane focus, possibly Mephisto thinking, what are you laughing about?
No, I was just going to say Mephisto, I was just going to chime in and say Mephisto is notoriously known for watching VODs of every single region all the time, non-stop when he's in his downtime. So he's well respected in the community as someone who always watches and takes from outside resources.
Awesome, that's going to help Vitality tremendously today. Let's talk about the Treatz. What did you think about him saying that possibly it would be played down the bot lane and we would get like standard setups? There wouldn't be that many whack things in the bot lane like a Ziggs or whatnot.
Yeah, I think I agree with him, especially for Fnatic. I think they will just double down on their strengths. I don't think they're going to go for the spicy stuff like the Morgana and things like that. I think they'll keep it simple and keep it very aggressive, as they have in the past as well. And I think Vitality, they know what Fnatic's going to pick.
They have a rock in the bottom there as well with Crownshot and Labrov, who has been working on skill participation throughout the split. But everyone's mind is on the jungle matchup. Bwipo versus Selfmade, the two teammates that go head-to-head, the former teammates rather, that go head-to-head in the jungle. Right before summer, Bwipo will swap to jungle. Selfmade to Vitality. Selfmade's story is just incredible. From Rookie of the Split on SK to Fnatic, then now on Vitality. What has been your impression of how he's played this summer?
Yeah, I think he's been playing phenomenally. Even I think when you transition his Fnatic split to this split, he's only really gotten better. Maybe he's playing more selfish for himself, but that's just classic Selfmade. He's a self-made man, right?
Yeah.
So, and I think the cool thing about this matchup specifically is he talked about Bwipo having these crazy picks, you know, like Zac and Karthus, but Selfmade's no stranger to crazy picks with Evan and things like this. So I think that jungle pool could go very deep, and we'll see who goes deeper in terms of picks. But I think Selfmade right now is a better jungler than Bwipo, but Bwipo is a very good player. And I think that's a good way to outline it. And I think Elioya said something very similar on Euphoria, where he said, Bwipo's a great player, maybe not so much a great jungler, but now that he's had an entire split to go through, I think Bwipo, despite having this first season as a jungler, he's had an entire split under his belt right now. So I think this playoffs game is probably the best current version of Bwipo in the jungle we'll see so far.
Is it better than the Bwipo in the top lane? Could it be?
Hard to say yet, but we'll know. We'll know soon.
We'll know. Treatz, what do you think about the jungle matchup?
Yeah, I think...
Oh,
yeah, that's me. Oh, no. Yeah,
there you go.
Yeah, rest in peace. Bwipo is honestly, he's a really good player. I was not surprised that he would do well in the jungle as well. And Selfmade is obviously one of the most respected junglers in Europe, so it is a hype matchup, and I think honestly both of them are really insane, and I think they bring different things to the teams, and they're going to do a good job, both of them, today for sure.
Yeah, I for sure have the highest hopes for them breaking out of the triumvirate of the picks and bans towards the jungle for those two specifically. Hopefully, we'll see if the strategy goes that way. But I think the consensus is in terms of, we saw top side in the first series played this week. We saw a lot of through bot side yesterday specifically. Is it going to be mid-jungle purely? But that, of course, bleeds into every other lane.
Yeah, it's always about mid-jungle support kind of right now in the meta, where you have the AD carries handshaking in bot clearing waves, the top laners handshaking in top clearing waves, and they only really move for the objectives. And it's all about who can get control first to move to those objectives. And here we've got two mid-jungles, which I think play very opposite, where Bwipo will play for a team, Selfmade will play kind of selfish in a way where he'll pick carries. And then similarly for the mid laners, Niski, very willing to give up and play for the team in a sense with his picks or the way he plays the game. And Leader specifically, I've known Leader for a while, and I think that if you watch his gameplay, and even if you hear the voice comms, if there's a kill, Leader will say, give me the kill, give me the kill. And he'll take the kill on his carry champion, and he'll hopefully carry you the game on things like Akali. Whereas for the opposite side, Niski might give it to Upset, or he might give it to Bwipo or Adam.
Yeah, Leader does have the second highest first blood participation at 9. And it's not just in the mid lane. He also goes to the bot lane. He also goes to the top lane. There's a lot of theory. There's a lot of things we think could happen today. We're hoping for 5 games. But what are your predictions? Caedrel, you first.
Wow, I think Fnatic Vitality is incredibly hype. I think there's players on Vitality that could have been on Fnatic from what I've heard at the start of this year. So it's incredible, this matchup. Not just Bwipo and Selfmade, but I'm going to say right now, my opinion is that Fnatic will win 3-1. I think that Fnatic is just a better version. I think despite having that dip in a loss streak, every team has a dip in a season. And I think them having that huge win streak, I think they look great.
Treatz?
Yeah, I mean, I would have to agree on the 3-1 Fnatic. I think Vitality has the chance to take 1, maybe 2 games if they have some spicy drafts and like clean play from their mid jungle. But I think Fnatic are just more solid overall, so yeah.
Discord has said 3-1 Fnatic, and may I remind you, my analyst has been wrong a lot more than they have been right over the last weekend. So we'll see what happens. This is such an important match because these two teams are fighting for Worlds, but also this is the lower bracket. So you win, you're in. You lose, you're going home. Well, they're playing from home, but you know what I mean. We're closing out week 1 of playoffs with a direct elimination match as Fnatic and Vitality look to stay alive in the summer playoffs and the road to Worlds.